Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of the I've Heard of Her discussion series. Today, we are going to be talking about Mae Jemison, who was really awesome. But we have important business before we get down to that. Who and where are we? These existential questions. My name is Samantha Mahalik. I am the registrar here at the Kenosha Museum campus. This is one of the Civil War Museums programs, one of the 3 museums on our campus. We also have the Kenosha Public Museum and the Dinosaur Discovery Museum here on Lake Michigan in Kenosha. As I promised you last month, if you watched, I have a new co-host. I am very excited, exhausting search, but I'm very happy to introduce you to Caitlin. So please tell us a little about yourself, Caitlin.
Hi guys, my name is Caitlin Manwaring. I am the Education Services Coordinator, so I help set up all of those cool fun field trips that people come here to see. And I have a big background in history, so I'm very excited to be part of this project with all of you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. So, like I said, we're talking Mae Jemison for Black History Month. She was an astronaut and actually the first African American woman in space. So, Caitlin, start us off.
All right, so Mae was born in Decatur, Alabama on October 17th, 1956. Decatur is like a teeny tiny town, or at least it was back then, so only like 29,000 people. Her mom, Dorothy Green Jemison, was an elementary teacher, and her dad, Charlie Jemison, was a roofer and carpenter. She had 2 siblings, Ada and Charles, and their parents decided to move them to Chicago when she was only 3 years old because they thought there'd be better educational opportunities for them there, which I think must have been a huge culture shift because they're going from 29,000 people in the South to 3 million people like in the freezing Midwest. So that must have been a big change.
Yeah.
Then she went to Morgan Park High School in the far South side. She was involved in a lot of different extracurricular activities, although she knew science was her passion, which I think is pretty cool because she was a very well-rounded person. So it wasn't just like, I'm in the library reading books all day. She did dance and all sorts of things too. But she really knew science was her passion from a pretty early age. She said one of her uncles actually introduced her to the concept. And she watched all of the Apollo launches, but she was upset that there weren't a lot of women involved. She also liked to watch Star Trek, which will come back later. And Lieutenant Uhura, played by Nichelle Nichols, was a big inspiration for her, really emphasizing the fact that representation in TV does really matter because it gives people someone to look up to. She ended up graduating high school when she was only 16 years old, which is insane.
It's great.
And that was 1973.
Yeah. So she goes to college young, but she attends Stanford on a National Achievement Scholarship. So, she's still doing really well for herself. She was one of the only Black students in most of her science classes, which unfortunately meant that she faced some discrimination because of that. She was also involved in extracurriculars at college, like she was in high school. She still was really into dance. She was into theater. She choreographed a performing arts production called Out of the Shadows, and it was about the African American experience, according to her, which is really cool. She was also head of the Black Student Union. So she found a place where she felt comfortable despite that discrimination that she felt in her classes. She graduated in 1977. She had a bachelor's of science in chemical engineering. So, she's a smart cookie too. That's not an easy field. And she decides that she wants to be a doctor. So she enrolls in Cornell Medical College. She studied abroad in Cuba and Kenya doing medical work and research. She worked in Thailand at a camp for Cambodian refugees. There was a horrible war and mass murder happening in Cambodia at that time in the late 70s. So she was helping out people fleeing that violence. And so she earned her medical doctorate in 1981. She interned at the Los Angeles County and University of Southern California Medical Center. And she eventually became just like a general practitioner. And she was working there for a while, but it wasn't really her thing. So she joined the Peace Corps in 1983, as one does when you she had a reason for this, though. She was fluent in Russian, Japanese, and Swahili in addition to English, which is, it's crazy. Those languages are like so different. So to be fluent in them is mind-blowing to me. So she, over 2 years, she worked as a medical officer for Sierra Leone and Liberia in Africa using her Swahili language skills. And she also taught and did medical research there as well. So she's helping people while also furthering the field. She has done a lot already by 1983. You know, she's kept busy. I'll say that.
So in 1985, she decides that she wasn't already busy enough and hadn't already done enough incredible, crazy things, and remembers that she'd always really been interested in space and decides astronaut training is the next big thing. So she was very inspired by Sally Ride. And she, in 1987, becomes the first African-American woman to be admitted into the astronaut training program. She was one of 15 people chosen from more than 2,000 individuals, which, fun fact, because I Googled it and I wanted to know, and I figured you guys might all want to know too, 18,000 people apply for that program yearly now, which is just wild.
It's a few more.
It took a while for her to get accepted because everything was delayed due to the Challenger explosion in 1986, which I think too, like, talk about brave to decide that I still want to be an astronaut and I still want to contribute to this field of science after watching a tragedy like that. She worked at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and then in the Shuttle Avionics Integration Laboratory, which is hard to even say and must be very difficult to work at. She was the first African-American astronaut, female astronaut, I should say, when she graduated the program. And she was named a science mission specialist, which means that she could do studies on the people on the flight with her. So into space, just looking really cool. I mean, who else manages to look that relaxed and like in control while they're like hovering? I would like to know. I don't look that prepossessed, like sitting in a normal chair. So
no, right? Yeah, she's got that photo has a good vibe about it. That she's awesome.
Yes. She's awesome. She knows she's awesome. She's got it under control.
Yeah.
She flew into space on September 12th, 1992, with 6 other astronauts aboard the Endeavour. Its mission, like STS-47 and like Space Lab J, it was a co-opt mission with NASA and then the Japanese Space Agency, NASDA. They did a lot of tests on like microgravity and what it does to like people and materials. Jemison herself focused on testing motion sickness and weightlessness, which doesn't sound like the most fun way to spend your time in space. Like, what happens when I get really sick? So that's dedication right there. They spent 8 days in space and ended up making 127 orbits of Earth, which that just sounds incredible. And then they came back down on September 20th, 1992. She really emphasized in interviews afterwards that it was really important for society to recognize that marginalized groups can really contribute to all sorts of different fields when they're just given the opportunity to do so. That was a real passionate like cause for her, was talking about that.
Yeah, definitely. And she takes that passion and does a lot with it after
Mm-hmm.
already done so much. So she was part of the space program for 6 years. She left in 93 after her flight. And she formed the Jemison Group, which was a consulting company that encourages science, technology, and social change. So she's very big on that, giving people an opportunity. She earned a Montgomery Fellowship and began teaching environmental studies at Dartmouth. She also formed and directed the Jemison Institute for Advancing Technology in Developing Countries. So she's bringing back her work that she had done for the Peace Corps. She started The Earth We Share in 1994. It was an international space camp for kids ages 12 to 16. So getting kids interested in space and STEM. And she created the nonprofit Dorothy Jemison Foundation for Excellence in honor of her mother. She in 1999 she accepted the position of the Andrew D. White Professor at Large at Cornell University. So she did a little bit after already making history as the first African American woman in space. She contributed a lot to several different fields, and she also, awesomely enough, starred on an episode of Star Trek. Like we mentioned before, she was a big fan growing up because it, had that representation. And LeVar Burton found out that she was a fan and reached out to her and asked her to be on the show, which I feel like if LeVar Burton asked me to do pretty much anything, I would be like, yes, please. You're awesome. So she played Lieutenant Palmer on the episode called Second Chances. She was the first real astronaut to be on the show. So that was also cool. Like we said before, Nichelle Nichols was an inspiration for her growing up, and now she got to be on that show that inspired her. And in addition to all of that, she might be doing the coolest thing ever. She currently is leading the 100-year Starship project. So this is an attempt to fund research and figure out the technology to get humans to another star in the next 100 years. She's like, Musk is get us to Mars. We're going to another star. How about that? That's insane.
I like a mindset where getting to Mars is not a big enough project.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking next star.
Yeah,
incredible.
It's amazing. So we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully they have some progress in our lifetimes, because that would be really cool to see. So
obviously Mae Jemison is incredible and does everything and is great at all these things that she does. And so people notice that, and she's won a lot of awards in her lifetime. She won the Essence of Science and Technology Award in 1988, the Gamma Sigma Gamma Woman of the Year in 1990. She won the Ebony Black Achievement Award in 1992. She's also had several schools named after her, including the Mae Jemison Academy in Detroit, Michigan, which is an alternative school, which is cool because it really helps support children with like special, requirements for their education. And then she was inducted into several halls of fame, including the National Women's Hall of Fame, the National Medical Association Hall of Fame, and the Texas Science Hall of Fame. Because why just be in one Hall of Fame when you can be in like all of them?
Why not?
You know. Okay, so our takeaway question today is, if Mae Jemison announced tomorrow that the technology had been found to travel to another star, would you want to go? What do you think, Samantha?
So my gut says no.
Yeah.
That I would want, I don't even know that I would want to travel to like Mars, which is just this one over, because we don't, I don't know, I to me it's scary. So there's a reason I'm not an astronaut. Because like you don't, how far away is that? You know what I mean? What do you think? Would you go?
I don't think I will go either, to be honest. My big thing though is I'm a big gardener, and I don't think I can grow like vegetables and flowers on the next star over right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I could. But also like the concept of spending that much time in a spaceship sounds daunting. I don't even like long road trips. So
yeah, then
I might not be the material for future next star colonizer.
No, I don't think the next star would be for you then. So let us know though if you are a bigger adventurer than the two of us, and if you would travel to another star. I would be very interested to see how many people would, volunteer for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Mae Jemison. She is awesome. I'm so glad that you joined us to learn about her. When I just knew she was an astronaut, and then I found out all this other amazing stuff, like being fluent in 4 languages and working for the Peace Corps and trying to the next star. So hope you enjoyed learning about Mae Jemison. And please join us next month. We're going to talk about Artemisia Gentileschi. I think I said that correctly. I'll work on it for next month. She was a Renaissance painter, and she had some tough times, but she is an amazing painter and is finally being recognized for her work. So we are going to talk about her next month. That's all from me. And, okay, then we are gonna go. Thanks again for joining us. Hope you see you next month. Stay safe and warm.
Yeah.